You know that feeling. You're walking somewhere, talking to someone, and suddenly, stop. The sense that all of this has happened before. This conversation, this turn in the road, this exact smell of coffee in this exact cup. A second of strange vertigo, and then it's gone. You shrug and keep moving. Now imagine it never left. Imagine waking up in the morning and it's already there. You pour your coffee, been here before. You turn on the news, already seen it. You step outside, already walked this street. Every second, every hour, every single day. No pause, no off switch. Your brain locked into an endless loop and completely unable to get out. This isn't a horror movie plot. This is a documented medical condition, and it happened to a real person. Chris Moulin, a neuropsychologist at the University of Grenoble, saw a patient in the early 2000s who had been brought in by his family. An elderly man, quiet, perfectly normal to look at. But he had stopped watching television, stopped reading newspapers, stopped leaving his apartment. Not because he was afraid of the world, but because, why bother? He had already seen all of it. Every news broadcast, every shop on every corner, every face on the street. His brain had convinced him that life was already over, and what remained was just reruns. And the truly terrifying part, he knew it wasn't true. He hadn't lost his mind in the conventional sense. He didn't believe he'd traveled back in time. He heard no voices. He understood perfectly well that it was an illusion, but the illusion wouldn't stop. Imagine seeing a wall in front of you, knowing with complete certainty that it isn't there, and still being unable to walk through it. That wall stood between him and the rest of his life. Déjà vu has been studied since 1878. That's when French philosopher Émile Boirac coined the term, quote, zero, quote, one. For over a century, scientists thought they had a pretty good handle on what it was. The brain misfires a signal. Something new gets routed down an old pathway by mistake. A brief glitch in the network, and the system recovers. Clean, simple, almost right. Almost. Here's how it works in a healthy brain. Your mind is an extraordinarily picky verification system. Every second, while you're listening to this sentence, it's doing the same thing on a loop, taking everything you see and hear and instantly cross-referencing it against your archive. New or familiar, happened or not. This process runs constantly, and almost always stays silent. Two levels. First, the hippocampus checks the incoming signal against storage. Then the prefrontal cortex evaluates the result and delivers a verdict. When the second level says, false alarm, the signal shuts off, system quiet, life continues. When the second level can't deliver that verdict, the signal stays on. In 2016, neuroscientist Akira O'Connor at the University of St. Andrews became the first person to scan the brain during déjà vu in real time, while people were actually experiencing it. Everyone expected to see the memory regions light up, the hippocampus, the entorhinal cortex, the usual suspects. Instead, something else entirely activated, the prefrontal cortex, the control center, the part of the brain that says, hold on, something here doesn't add up. Déjà vu isn't a memory malfunction. It's your brain catching an error and flagging it. Think of it like antivirus software. It finds a suspicious file, throws up a warning, deletes the threat. 2 seconds of alert, then silence. System clear. In people with chronic déjà vu, the antivirus found the threat and froze. The alarm tripped and never reset. Moulin describes these patients like a building where the fire alarm is screaming at full volume around the clock. Every door locked, every window closed, no fire anywhere. The alarm doesn't know that. It doesn't care. In 2016, Moulin published a case in the Journal of Medical Case Reports about a second patient, a man in his early 20s. No head trauma, no tumors, every scan completely clean. But after a course of antidepressants, déjà vu began, and never stopped, not for a single day. He couldn't go to the cinema, quote 4. Couldn't visit the doctor, already been. Couldn't make plans. What's the point of planning something that's already happened? He was living like a man watching only reruns, in a world where new episodes had stopped being made. And here's where it gets genuinely strange. Some researchers pushed back. Could this just be a severe manifestation of anxiety? Moulin holds his ground, because neither of his patients had hallucinations. No confusion between real and unreal. No loss of grip on reality. What they had was one specific, narrow, surgically precise malfunction. A single signal. One. Switched on and stuck. French neurologist Pierre Gloire suggested back in 1991 that déjà vu occurs when the brain's familiarity system fires independently from the system that retrieves actual memories. In other words, the brain registers quote, _6 __, but can't find what it's familiar from. Like someone stamping quote, _7 _ on a letter that just arrived. The stamp is there. The original letter isn't in the archive. The system hangs. In a healthy brain, that hang lasts 1 second. Researcher Suzanne O'Brien at the University of St. Andrews showed in 2020 that déjà vu happens more often in people with vivid imaginations and high anxiety. A brain that constantly models the future, running scenarios, building predictions, rehearsing what might happen, creates more conflicts between its own forecasts and reality. Put simply, the more actively you imagine tomorrow, the higher the chance that today will feel like something that's already occurred. Your brain can literally frighten you with memories of things that haven't happened yet, which is funny if it weren't so unsettling. Neurologists continue to debate the underlying mechanisms. Epileptic discharges in the temporal lobe have been found in some chronic cases. Microfailures in the medial temporal cortex. Disruptions in the way the brain timestamps experience, before or after. No single answer has emerged. Different routes, same dead end. The already happened signal switches on, and nothing switches it off. Do the math for a moment. If déjà vu affects most people at least once or twice a year, and each episode lasts a few seconds, that's billions of seconds of collective human brain freeze every single year. Right now, as you listen to this, someone in a building nearby just stopped mid-step with that exact feeling. Someone on a bus 3 streets over. Someone in another city entirely. All of them hitting the same glitch, unable to explain it, shrugging it off, and moving on. For most people, 1 second, 2 at most. Then it releases. Moulin's patient, the elderly man from Grenoble, sat in his apartment. Stacks of unread newspapers piled up by the door. Television unplugged. Outside, life went on. People went places for the first time, were surprised by things, discovered things. For him, new no longer existed as a category. He understood that. He knew it was an illusion. And he could do absolutely nothing about it. That strange feeling you've had once or twice, gone in a heartbeat, was his every waking hour. You're listening to this sentence right now. Your brain is cross-referencing it against the archive. New or familiar, happened or not. It decided. Signal cleared. System quiet. You're free to go. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. We're already working on a new and exciting video for you.